if I was living in the times of Buddha and there was an opportunity to be with him, would I say, let me sell 5 more shirts and then come? So that was, at that point of time, it was a very significant perspective for me.
How Sadhguru's Academy was formed? What is the goal and the vision?
So Sadhguru mentioned about his vision to create a leadership academy the year 2009. So he's even spoken that someday the Prime Minister of India should come out of Sadhguru Academy, because he believes that
the future PM should be among the leaders to get trained.
Alumni.
So he's kind of grooming the future leaders of the country.
Yeah, that is the aspiration. Gen A Entrepreneurship Program was
Gen
born.
A Entrepreneurship Program.
Yeah, that is a program that we launched last year. And A stands for, it's not the Gen
Alpha.
Z, Gen X, not Alpha. It is Gen Audacious.
Will it be larger than the homeschool?
Physically, yes. The model is similar to homeschool, but he said like 4 times.
Okay, interesting. Very, very exciting as well. Because he doesn't talk much about this vision and what we want to do, all of those things.
Probably too early to talk about. What we have done is just taken baby steps.
How about the people around you? How were they witnessing this transformation? Were they saying that you're being brainwashed or?
For example, my parents were very against it. Like I said, they come from, my father particularly, he's a very strong atheist, and my mother suffered a brain stroke, which affected one side of her body. And then in 2020, of course, when the COVID happened and suddenly the lockdown, her condition started deteriorating very sharply. But I was, within myself, I was suffering. And I happened to mention to Sadhguru that this is a situation, Sadhguru, and he wanted to see a picture of hers, So I showed that picture, and he said that she doesn't have much time. The way they handled it, So one thing is her, and the second is my father. He was so full of gratitude for Sadhguru because of this.
How about the people around you? How were they witnessing this transformation? Were they saying that you're being brainwashed or carried over by a cult kind of a thing? Whatever the kind of things that we hear from world around us today, especially in social media.
So good thing is, my husband was very supportive. In fact, the first program that we did, the Saraswati Yoga, he and I both did together. And then the Bhavaspandana, that I came for the ladies, and then immediately after he came for the gents Bhavaspandana. So we began our journey together. And although he didn't, maybe he continued for a year or so. After that, he dropped the practices. But he had enough exposure to understand and appreciate and value what I was doing. And in many ways, he was, I think, my biggest supporter. For example, my parents were very against it. Like I said, they come from, my father particularly, he's a very strong atheist. And
Atheist? Coming from an atheist background?
Totally, yeah, a communist, But it was very interesting, how Sadhguru brings it all together. I'm saying for my parents. So I told you about my husband, my parents. My sister is the only one who I was able to convert. So I did the program in the month of May in Mumbai, and December again the same program was happening, and she was at that time in Bangalore. She was in Indian Institute of Science doing her integrated PhD. So I called her, and she came and she did her program, and pretty much like me, except Samyama, she took a long time to do, but she covered, she went through it with a lot of threw herself into it. So that is my one satisfaction. But I'll tell you how he kind of closed the loop for my parents as well.
Okay.
Way back, I think about a couple of years after I had done the program and me and my sister had done, we also wanted our parents to experience it. So that time there was a program happening in Mumbai. They live in Calcutta, but we called them, they came to Mumbai and they went through it was still, the Service City Yoga program only. My father struggled a lot with the program. He didn't continue the practice. My mother kept up the practice, but at the same time, for physical reasons beyond a point, she couldn't do it. Sadhguru says that the only real responsibility we as children have is to ensure that we introduce our parents to spirituality. But the fact that they didn't keep up with the practices, I always felt that maybe I won't be able to fulfill my responsibility as a daughter. But more than that, I always felt very helplessly, I agonized over the fact that, something so wonderful that I've experienced, that I'm not able to offer it to people that matter the most to me. This was a big agony I had. And then, of course, I made them go through a program. They didn't take to it well enough. And over the years, they also, they distanced themselves from. They wouldn't want us to talk about what we are going through, and they clearly were not in favor.
Especially when it matters to us.
Yeah,
They wouldn't be able to really talk anything
Yeah.
ill about it or negative about it.
yeah.
It's very difficult.
Then, in the year 2017, my mother suffered a brain stroke, which affected one side of her body. She was able to, through physiotherapy, she was able to, maybe recover about 50% or so. But it was never, her cognitive faculties and also her mobility was never the same. And then in 2020, of course, when the COVID happened and suddenly the lockdown, her condition started deteriorating very sharply. And I was here in the ashram, and there was no way that I could go there. Like there were no flights, and there was no possibility. And I thought, if I went by road, let's say, the kind of people that I would be encountering, like if I had to stay overnight somewhere, I may just carry the infection and make things worse. So I didn't think that was an option either. But I was, within myself, I was suffering. And I happened to mention to Sadhguru that this is a situation, Sadhguru, and he wanted to see a picture of hers, So I showed that picture, and he said that she doesn't have much time. So I didn't know what to do. Going would be a challenge, and there's no way I could sit back. And I knew that if something does happen to her, my father, already he was in his late 80s by that time, it would be very challenging. And in fact, Sadhguru himself suggested, why don't you bring them here? And I thought, how will I bring? There's no way, there are no flights, they can't travel by road. Fortunately, we figured out that air ambulances were running at that time, But air ambulances also come from hospital to hospital because they're supposed to ferry patients from one hospital to the other. But my mother was at home. So, and during that time, of course, you needed police approval, you needed, local administration approval, whole host of paperwork. And he had said that maybe she has another 2 or 3 weeks. And so it was like a race against time to get all the paperwork done, to arrange it. But, with grace, it happened. And by the time my mother came, she couldn't even recognize me.
Really?
Her cognitive, this thing had failed so much. She asked me once, so who are you? With a sweet smile. I said, I'm your daughter. She said, oh, really? So how many children do you have? It was like that. She was able to talk, but she had, she had reached that stage. Suddenly, in between, she would get certain lucidity, but other times she was, in a different world altogether. But during that time, I don't know what Sadhguru did to her. she understood that she's come to Isha, yeah, and Sadhguru is here. And she told me one day that that this Purnami, I will cook for Sadhguru and he will come and eat. You know, I was like, I mean, I of course knew, but I indulged. I said, okay, fine. Then what would you like to cook? What should we buy? So she said, get a pen and paper. I'll tell what all we need to buy and what we will cook and all that. So she went through that, and then one day she woke up. I think after the Purnami, she said, yeah, Sadhguru came. I did namaskaram to him, and but I couldn't attend to the other guests. How were they? Were they okay? I was like, you know, somehow he has reached out to her, and she knew, you know, I mean, for whatever, she couldn't comprehend when she had her faculties. He had managed to reach out to her at that time. It took a few more days, and I knew he was sort of helping her along the way without having, you know, even met her in person. They were in Shivapadam, and that time we were, you know, no contact, no nothing. So, yeah, and he said that she will pass on Amavasya. He told, yeah. In any case, every day there would be some doctor who would come just to check her vitals and make sure she's, you know, comfortable. Then on the Amavasya day, he sent Mavama and a few other doctors. They were with her, and Mavama at some point of time said that best that you are not, that day, said that best that you're not in the room at all, you know. So me and my father, we were outside, and just they handled, and Mavama said that now it's just a matter of towards the night, you know, just a matter of few more minutes, and then she said she's gone. You know, the way they handled it, So one thing is her, and the second is my father. You know, he was so full of gratitude for Sadhguru because of this. And I don't know how in that situation, like soon after that, you know, all the Swamis came with so much of flowers, everything. And they took her to the crematorium, and, you know, me and my dad went. And with the flowers, my dad said she always loved so much of flowers, and so much of flowers, you know.
Your dad broke down?
He didn't. I think he was trying to be strong for me, and I was trying to be strong for him. So neither of us did. And
anyway, it was inevitable, right?
It was inevitable. But, you know, I felt that, you know, I'm not able to, at that time, that how will I express my grief? You know, there just didn't seem to be any space to express grief. But then again, see how Sadhguru takes care of it. He asked me to, for the next 3 days before the Kal Bhairav Karma was to be done, he asked me to chant the Maha Mantra all the time and not engage in any conversation except just what is needed, and do minimum of, I think, some 6 hours of chanting.
The Om Namah Shivaya chant.
Om Namah Shivaya chant. And I think that just, you know, really like fire, I think it burnt away all the grief. There was nothing at the end of when we did the Kal Bhairav Karma. I didn't feel any grief left in me without even having shed a tear. So then, after this episode, and pandemic was still, you know, this was in the month of May of 2020. My dad said, okay, I'll go back. So I told Sadhguru, he said, why let him stay for, you know, what will he do there all alone?
Alone, yeah.
So then Sadhguru met him. That was the first time my dad met my father. My mother never met, like, you know.
Yeah.
But of course, he gave her access. So my father, he told my father, you know, why don't you stay? My father was a meteorologist. So he said, you can teach our homeschool, you know, you're a man of science, there's so many things you can do, just be here. Your other daughter is in Germany, and, you know, his daughter is here, what will you do? So he was like, no, I have to go back. I have to go back. I And just for him to go back, then the commercial flights had just resumed. But, it was still so risky. He was already
Correct.
89 by then, And we got hold of those full suits and everything. So when he was supposed to go, he put on all that. And I thought this is the last time I'm seeing him. I'll probably not
Really?
see him again. It's so risky to fly, in that
Definitely.
condition. And that time, there was so much of panic. We didn't really know how, we just saw around us all kinds of things. So, but he reached safely and he never caught COVID. And before leaving, he told me that when it is my time, I'll come back.
How much he valued what was given,
Yeah.
what is being here. From being an atheist and a communist to even with that kind of a non-believer eyes, he was able to see what his
And not
mind
just
got.
not just that. Then later I realized, about a few years after that, he came again to the ashram, and then I requested, for Sadhguru to meet with him. This was after Safe Soil. Yeah. And I had no idea that my dad was actually following Safe Soil. He would have known maybe. So when he met him, when he met Sadhguru, he was like gushing. My dad, I've never seen him gush like that with anybody. And he said, it is absolutely unbelievable what you did. 30,000 kilometers riding across all these countries in this kind of weather all by yourself. And because there were cameras, because there's, all this footage, people will believe you. Otherwise, people wouldn't have believed that it is humanly possible to do something. You've done something so incredible. He went on and on and on. You would stop. And me and my sister looking at each other. Oh, so he was actually
Every bit of the journey.
And then he asked Sadhguru, please tell me when will be, time for me to go. So Sadhguru said, why do you want to know when will it be time to go? We will ensure that you live well and you leave well. So since then he's not asked, and he's completed 94 already. This, it's been, And he's living a wonderful life, actually, to be honest. Physically, he has some problem with his mobility. He has arthritis, but he has a walker and a wheelchair, and he has an attendant. And he'll go for movies, he'll go for music concerts, he will...
Where in
In Calcutta. When my mother was there last few years because of her condition, he was like totally confined to home and only, lived only for her. Never did he indulge in any of his things that interest him, So now, he's really living well, I would say. Better than he's probably lived at any point of time.
So now they are happy with your decision?
They're not unhappy, for sure. My father will probably not,
An unspoken endorsement?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely, 100%. I will never ask him,
No, we
like,
wouldn't.
are you okay? Do you think I've done the right thing? I'll never ask him. But definitely I can see.
In all these years of being in the ashram, one thing you would have noticed is how the volunteers were. Did you aspire to be like one of the brahmacharis or the volunteers here? Did you have some kind of a benchmark? I want to be like that. I want to aspire to go there, something like that. Or you were happy with whatever that you were doing?
To be honest, I deeply appreciated and valued, how the brahmacharis and the volunteers were. To the extent that I think, it's like saying that what the Creator is capable of when you see the creation. So this place, the people, they, I think, speak louder than anything else in terms of what transformation Sadhguru can bring about. But honestly, in the beginning when I saw them, they felt like something that was beyond my reach to be like that. I had the audacity to aspire, to be like them.
It's like, okay, we are a class apart.
Yeah.
Let's settle with that.
Yeah, and they're wonderful and they make this wonderful. But that is them and this is me with all my limitations. This is how I am, People now see me like, how I saw the volunteers, perhaps. In my experience, I still am perhaps, I'm not
Striving.
100%, but still, with so many limitations, so many challenges. So I think there is something that I've imbibed, without ever being asked to. And that has been, I think, my biggest blessing, that although I worked so closely with Sadhguru, and looking back, I'm ashamed to think how much of a bull in a china shop I must have been, because of how I was trained and how I was, used to dealing with people. It must have been very unpleasant to deal with. But Sadhguru had the compassion and the patience to never make me feel like, that something was not okay. And therefore, now when I see, people that I deal with who are, like how I was 20 years ago, I just wonder, what did Sadhguru do, that I'm able to fit in here, that I'm able to, deal, and how do I impart that to him? Am I even capable of doing that, Because I never felt at any point of time he, calling out something that was not okay, or,
It's very sweet with you.
Yeah, because anything else would not have worked, maybe. I think he saw that, he does whatever works with people. He must have seen that, that fiery Bengali rebellious streak was very strong.
When you came and were settling, other than Sadhguru, who helped you settle and imbibe this place better?
In 2010, I was telling you, when I came in the month of September, at that time I had already kind of decided to come, but I still hadn't come here. And like I said, 25% became 50%, became 100% actually. But at that time, I met with Puneet. Puneet had just wound up the Satyapal, everything, and he had moved here full time. So I met Puneet and I heard who he was and who his father was. And so I asked Puneet, how did you take this decision that, you're running such a huge brand and it's a big business? How did you decide to close it all and just come here and live in the ashram? So he said, if I was living in the times of Buddha and there was an opportunity to be with him, would I say that let me sell 5 more shirts and then come? So that was, at that point of time, it was a very significant shift perspective for me. But in terms of imbibing the ashram spirit, everybody, I cannot take any one person's name. All the swamis and the mas and everybody. Yeah, it was, like a flower, everybody like so gentle and fragrant. That's the only.
Even now, when I go to Dhyanlinga, my eyes will be just stuck on Dhyanlinga. But sometimes I just take off the eyes and I look at someone, just the way they are looking at Dhyanlinga, they're bowing down.
Yeah.
Something inspires, something gently instills how we should be within.
Yeah,
I think that's the power of a community, the Sangha.
absolutely.
We'll keep saying,
Absolutely.
which keeps us going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, people ask me, for example, the Jene entrepreneurship program that we are doing, this 26 weekend program. A lot of young people, right, in their 20s. So they'll come up and say, Akka, you have so much grace, you can. I'm like, that's not my experience of me. But if I've become, if others see me like that, it's only because of what this place has done to me, I'm not even conscious of it. So how can I, they said, teach us. I said, I can't. There's nothing that I'm doing consciously. Just a reflection of maybe how I've become, True. And that is contribution of the place and all the people that make this place, really.
very, very true. A very wonderful way of recalling how like one statement, one sharing, one story inspires us to hold on to something so
Yeah.
beautiful in our lives.
Yeah.
I think this you shared in one of the Samyamas as well. I
Yes,
think.
yes. This is something that I always share.
Can
whenever
I
chance.
sell 5 more shirts and come?
Yeah. Yeah. Priorities. you
Yeah.
know, just to be able to see that. Yeah.
It's very wonderful, Akka.
Yeah.
Let's get into a little bit on the current part now. I think many of us do not know right now what on how Sadhguru's Academy was formed, what is the goal and the vision, and what role you are playing in that.
Yeah. So Sadhguru mentioned about, his vision to create a leadership academy. I heard it first in the year 2009. And I realized soon after that there were already a bunch of people who had been working on it even before that, And what he said at that time was that our country, because it's been an occupied nation for so many centuries, where the head that stood up is the head that got shot, So everybody has been told, including we've been told by our parents, that when you're coming back home, just put your head down and come. If there's some trouble in the street, don't get involved. So this whole spirit of leadership is completely dead in the country. There may be some individual leader who is brilliant and inspiring, but leadership as a culture, as a value, is something that is totally lost because of this background that we have of colonialism. It's not just important to build the qualities of a leader as such, whatever those qualities are, and he's spoken about them. It's also very important that they understand business, because business is really the economic engine of any country, and especially in a country like ours where we still have so much work to do in terms of alleviating poverty. The only way that can happen is through business. So when Sadhguru spoke about establishing the Leadership Academy, he actually divided our society into 11 segments.
11 segments?
11 segments. And he said, at each segment, we need to, offer leadership training. So for him, actually, leadership is defined very simply. He says, anybody who interacts with another person can be a leader. How? If he influences the other person positively, it is leadership. Because there are 2 other choices he has, that he need not impact that person at all, then it's a missed opportunity. Or he can impact the other person negatively, then it is a crime. But if you influence another person positively, you're a leader. And he says an auto rickshaw driver is a leader because he meets 10 people in a day at least. And he can influence them positively. A homemaker, a mother, she's a very important leader because she's bringing up the next generation of leaders. So in the Leadership Academy that he wants to establish, the brick and mortar, he wants to offer programs for every segment. But the starting point for him is the economic leaders. Because A, they influence a large segment of people, and B, because if you look at how through history, how leadership has moved from one constituency to the other. In the beginning, it was the religious leaders who were the most influential. But that leadership is very dogmatic. 2 religious leaders can never get along with each other. Then the power,
The political leader.
shifted to, before political, actually, it shifted to the military leadership. And that was tyrannical, absolutely. No 2 military leader will be able to get along. Then to the political leadership or the democracy, and that is confoundedness of sorts. And he said, and this I'm talking in 2009, that now, very soon, the leadership will shift into the hands of the economic leaders. Mind you, this is way before Donald Trump and,
17
all of
years
that.
back.
Yeah. But the problem with the advantage with economic leaders is that they're very pragmatic. They will do a deal with the
Is that a
devil
problem?
also. No, there is a problem because they're seen as vested interests. Being pragmatic is not a problem. Pragmatic is good because they'll do a deal with the devil also if it's a good deal. But the problem is that they are seen as vested interest. So they need to shed that tag of being vested interest. They
Are
have
they
to
really
become,
vested, or they just carry the tag?
they carry the tag. Some are, and that's how the tag has come. It's not like, everybody is, or it's not like nobody is. There are definitely people, but somehow that tag has stuck to the entire community, which is what they need to shed. So they need to become, more conscious and more inclusive. Yeah. So he saw business leadership as a means to address both. That on one hand, you are addressing that community, which will become the custodians of power, maximum power. So you're influencing them, but also because he almost saw that as a life skill to know about business, to know about economics, because only then can you improve the condition of any country. So he's even spoken that someday the Prime Minister of India should come out of Sadhguru Academy, because he believes that
The future PM should be among the
amongst
leaders to
our
get
alumni.
trained.
Yeah.
Alumni.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's kind of grooming the future leaders of the country.
Yeah, that is the aspiration. So it's a huge task. It's an amazing privilege, and also it's very humbling. But so when he spoke about this in 2009, and like I said, I came into the picture only sometime in 2010. And in 2012, we launched the first program, the Insight program, Inside the DNA of Success, which is aimed at entrepreneurs and CEOs and CXOs. So that program, Sadhguru was very clear of what his ultimate goal was, and that was really to train those who have just finished their school, 18-year-olds who finished +2.
Insight.
No, the ultimate goal of Sadhguru Academy. But he started with a program like Insight because he also realized that you need to first create the ecosystem.
Seeding process.
In a way,
yeah.
yeah. Because we didn't have any locus standi at that time to offer a leadership program. We were a spiritual organization.
Correct.
So how do we suddenly start with a leadership program? So you start working with the leaders, who are already out there, start getting them to understand that spirituality is not about dressing badly, living badly. It's an empowerment. When they understand that, it will have a
It will
top
percolate.
It will percolate. Exactly.
Several layers.
Exactly. So Insight, and then Human is Not a Resource, and then Brand Insight, and Family Enterprise Excellence, all these are aimed at a certain category of
11
leaders.
layers that
No,
you're talking about.
they are all targeted at the same level, which is all business leaders. But now we are looking at the students. So right now, the biggest program that we have is the 4-day program Insight. From a 4-day program to a 5-year residential program, which is what he wants us to offer for
This is getting interesting.
is a huge jump. Yeah. So we said, okay, let us start with something which is kind of a midway, and that is how the Gen A Entrepreneurship Program was born.
Gen A Entrepreneurship Program.
Yeah, that is a program that we launched last year. And A stands for, it's not the Gen
Alpha.
Z, Gen X, not Alpha. It is Gen Audacious.
Oh. How come we were doing it like a secret program?
It's not a secret, but that is I think our tragedy, that we as an organization do so many things that we ourselves don't know what each of us
I
are
came
doing.
to know about this from Masi Sarpini when he was talking to her about
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, we had advertised. We got some 800 people applying for it. From that, we chose 40 people. So it's a cohort of 40 that's been going
Really?
through.
From 800 to 40?
Yeah, we distilled it down to 40. And that program started on the 15th of August. And it'll complete this year.
So it's 1 year.
It's a 1-year program, but it's only over alternate weekends. Because the idea was to get entrepreneurs who are already busy doing something. So, they can't be away from their work for a prolonged period of time. So they're here only for alternate weekends. And
So when you were saying Gen A, audacious, there's a age limit to it?
So, because we're trying to create a prototype of what the 5-year program will be, and because Sadhguru has said not to keep an upper age limit, but only a lower age threshold of 18, that's how we kept it. We said minimum age requirement is 18 and minimum qualification is class 12. But we didn't keep an upper age limit. As a result, we ended up with such a diverse cohort. The youngest is 21 and the oldest is 59. And we have everything in between, though majority of them actually are in their mid-20s to mid-30s. That is where we have the maximum number of participants. So this has been a very interesting journey for us because we are sort of closer handling a cohort which is closer in age group to what our 5-year will be. And we're understanding what it is like to have, young people amidst us.
This is more like a POC being done before the launch of the main project you did.
Something like that.
So when you have such a diverse cohort of from 21 to 59, do you see anything common among all of them? Or invariably, everybody gets taken over by this inner seeking?
Yes, definitely. So one of the things that we had very clearly established is that either you have to have done inner engineering already, or you do it, if we select you, and if you have not yet done your inner engineering, you have to finish it before you come for the program. Because we wanted to establish certain things for them when they come. So for example, they have to be up before 5:30. The day has to start with Guru Puja. These are things that we wanted to establish. So everybody therefore is a meditator now. And many of them are taking the next step. And we did have a couple of Sadhanapada also who came for this program. But those who haven't, they are taking the next steps. During the course of the last 6 months that have passed, many have done Shunya, many have done Samyama, So this journey has established very firmly. So that is the common thread that binds them all. Functionally and professionally, they may be at different points in their life, but this is the common foundation, and Sadhguru has also spent time with them, and he...
many ways should be a lucky batch.
Yes, very lucky.
Because
very
Sadhguru
lucky.
spending, personally, spending time with them.
Yeah. And another thing that we've done, apart from what we're offering functionally and also the Isha aspects, another thing that Sadhguru has always spoken about when it comes to leadership education is the military training. He says India is a fantastic example of how leaders can be created. He says if you look at the way it operates, boys go in and men come out in a matter of 4 years.
Correct.
To the extent that they are responsible for the lives of 100, 200 people. These 100, 200 men are willing to throw their lives at the order of this, young officer in a battlefield. So that is the kind of man-making that he wants the academy to do. And that's why he calls it academy. It was called Isha Leadership Academy, and now it's called Sadhguru Academy. The significance of the word academy is just this, that it's a 360-degree and complete making of a human being. And so we introduced within the boot camp, a military boot camp, a 2-day thing, which was conducted by military veterans.
Oh.
Yeah. One colonel, one lieutenant colonel, and one major. The major was a lady. And all three of them conducted, and then the lady, in fact, is a meditator. She's done Samyama also. So they conducted, which was hugely inspiring. So they simulated like war-like situations and, doing strategy, sand modeling and doing strategy and going through like how, you're in the midst of an action and your buddy gets injured, you don't ever leave anybody behind, how you carry them with you, what do you do, those kind of things.
Creating a life-threatening or life or death kind of situation.
Yeah.
And making them go through this. I think this is what today when we go for, big leadership position interviews, they ask, they always put you in a tight corner. They ask, okay, under pressure, what will you do?
Yeah, the true
the
color of
exactly.
yeah.
When you're under pressure, it really comes out. You can't really hide.
Exactly.
You can't apply makeup.
Exactly. You cannot. Because in military, first it is the country, second it is the people that you're responsible for, and only third it's you. So, and also this very, very, very inspiring saying that they have, that the finest of steel is rolled in the hottest of fire. So Sadhguru wants to incorporate all these elements of military training into our leadership training. So this is something that we will be doing more of in the 5-year program.
This is so exciting, at the same time so fulfilling to hear, because who's going to come out of it will be a very rounded, compassionate, all-inclusive individuals.
Yeah.
So when we've been saying what is needed in the society is individual transformation. It's not
Absolutely.
like transformation of masses, but
Absolutely.
individually, each one of us
Absolutely.
should go through this.
Absolutely. We also made them go through a session on kalari, a session on music, what Samskriti offers. And you should see how, so, both extremes. On one hand, you have the military, and on the other hand, you have...
The softest of
Yes.
arts.
Yeah. And especially the session on the music session was hugely, they were like totally intoxicated, by that. And they would, even amongst themselves, when they come together, they would sing those songs, those vachanas that they were taught. So it's been absolutely wonderful to observe them going through that journey, and who they were 6 months ago to who they are right now. They are really shining.
You're too radiating that happiness.
No, it is very, very fulfilling. It's very...
So what was his guidance? Like, or what was his feedback when you shared all these things, like the way that you shared right now?
I've never had the opportunity to sit like this and share with him. Where does he have the
We'll
time
show
anymore?
this video to him, okay?
No, I think so. And Sadhguru is also not somebody who will, I don't know, you may have heard this, he will only say what is not okay.
Exactly. I was just about to say.
He said, what is okay? What is the need to say? My job is to say what is not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah. So that the fact that he has not said anything, adverse.
Pass.
So we know that he passed. So the simplest definition of leadership that Sadhguru gives, that is one. But true leadership for him is when you are, others' well-being matter more to you than your own well-being, So I think the biggest challenge, and I think that is a true test, will be for all of us to actually live that every single moment. Because at the end of the day, especially when you have the students with you, the entire time, 365 days, 24/7, it's like children. They never learn from what the parents say. They only imbibe what they see from the
what
parents.
they do. They don't do what you
What
say.
you say. So to be able to live that, to that extent, we have not really been tested, I would say, because they're coming over a weekend and that's it. And then the 2 weeks gap and then back again. But I think the real test will be when they are with us for a sustained period of time, and we are all able to live, what it is to be a leader, because only that they will imbibe. So I think, like they say, picture abhi baki hai. This is just, a little bit of tidbits and...
But this kind of gives the direction and the guideline when you launch the 5-year program. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So when is it expected, Akka?
2027, hopefully. It's I say hopefully because the dependency is that the building should be ready. Sadhguru is very keen. He's designed the building in such a way which will be very impressive and inspiring at the same time. And he feels that must be there for us to, for the branding of the academy to get established on a certain footing. Without that, he does not want us to start. So whenever that happens will be the time that we are aiming for 2027.
Will it be larger than the homeschool?
Physically, yes, because he's saying they're adults. So the model is similar to homeschool, but he said like 4 times. So the courtyard will be 4 times, this thing will be 4 times, and it'll be like ground plus 2 kind of a structure. And it will have in one of the courtyards a tall, like 7 or 8 story, very modern looking building, which will be just glass and steel. Which will be the only place in the entire academy which will be air conditioned. So that will have all the digital library and and other stuff.
On the latest
All the gadgets,
equipments, infrastructure,
yeah.
everything.
What all we want to have. We want to have a Bitcoin lab, maybe, who knows what all will come up. So all of those can be housed there because that will be air conditioned.
Okay. So this is running under your leadership?
Yeah, it's a Leadership Academy's project. Yeah.
Sadhguru's Academy.
Sadhguru Academy, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Very, very exciting as well. Because he doesn't talk much about this vision and what we want to do, all of those things. We just heard about Sadhguru Gurukulam.
Yeah.
The Sadhguru Academy is...
it's still too early. I don't think he thinks it's still, it's probably too early to talk about. What we have done is just taken baby steps in the direction of what needs to happen.
I think this is, as you said, it's mostly to do with the readiness of, the infrastructure as well.
Yeah. The infrastructure is one thing, which is important. But to what extent we are able to deliver it, which is true to his vision, I think will depend on how each one of us are, and what they imbibe from us.
Do you think he's going to sit with and look at every chapter, every content, every subject?
No, he will not do that. But he's also said, in fact, one of the reasons that he's told us to start this as early as possible is so that he can spend some time with them. Because he said only then will it be something, extraordinary. Otherwise it'll be like just another, anybody can do it. His presence and how he inspires the students is going to be the big differentiator. And he wants us to do it early enough for him to, he keeps saying, next year I'll be 70, so please do it quickly enough so that I can still spend some quality time with them.
A kind of raising a hand against a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You work closely with Sadhguru, when it comes to the communications and all of that. Particularly in the last 10 years, we have seen the social media has also picked up. A lot of crisis comes in, somewhere, some baseless allegation, some vested group of, interested, people doing something. At any point of time, did you get a chance to look at how he was handling it